All right, so today is day 9 of the Java Stack. It's Thursday of week 2, afternoon session. So we are going to talk about, I'm looking at the wrong day. We're going to talk about relationships. So I did burgers this morning. We're going to talk about relationships this afternoon. And relationships are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So we should finish. I should finish my Dojos and Ninjas demo by the end of the day. And then tomorrow we're going to spend all day on login and reg because login and reg is uh, complicated. We'll put it that way. So we'll spend all day Friday, and if it spills into Monday, it's not the end of the world. So we'll get as much done tomorrow as we can, but we may just do registration Friday and log in on Monday, just depending on how things go. All right, let's get started. Day 9. Wow. All right, so I grouped day 9 and 10 together. So when I say today's assignments, please don't panic. This is the assignments for basically tomorrow and Monday. So by Monday, you have to have book club finished. Okay. So Dojos and Ninjas is core, login and registration is core, and then book club is core. Just FYI, if you can do book club, you can do the belt exam, right? I think, in my opinion, the Java Stack belt exam is probably the easiest exam. And it just is. It's like if you could do the Python exam, if you got the MERN exam done, I think you'll be like you'll just laugh at the Java exam. So again, so book club, as long as you can do that, it's the same with recipes in Python. If you could do recipes, you could do the belt exam. Same here. If you can do book club, you can get a red belt easily. Okay. Any questions about the assignments?
Nope.
All right. So relationships. Okay, so just to sort of recap from Python. Yeah, because you use NoSQL. Yeah. So relationships are you can have a one-to-one, right? But they pretty much don't happen, right? One-to-many is by far the most common, right? So a user has many recipes. A dojo has many ninjas. A user has many books, right? So one to many, we have the one, which is whatever has many of something else, right? So in the case of dojos and ninjas, we have a dojo, and we create our dojo just like we do anything else, right? Entity, table, the table name is going to be dojos because it's the pluralized version of whatever the object is. So a dojo has many ninjas. So the way we set up this relationship is we use the one to many annotation. We say mapped by dojo. So that's just basically how the connection is going to take place, right? So it's mapped by the dojo. Fetch equals fetch type lazy. Um, there's two different types of fetch. There's eager and there's lazy, right? So eager fetch means that at runtime, if anything is needed, it fetches it and puts it in memory. Lazy fetching means it waits and it doesn't fetch it until we need it. So you could probably ask 10 different programmers and half of them would say fetches or lazy's better. The other half would say eager's better. I just like lazy. I just like the word. So lazy is, I think, more efficient, right? Because if we don't need it, why fetch it, right? So lazy will wait until we query the database and then retrieve the data. So the one to many basically is an annotation for our data type, right? So a dojo has many ninjas. So that relationship is expressed through a property, right? So the property on dojos is a list object containing many ninjas. Okay. So a dojo will have a property ninjas, and that dojo.ninjas will be a list of ninja objects. Okay. So if we are on our front end and we've queried for a dojo, and the dojo is sent to our front end, that dojo will have a property of ninjas. So we'll say dojo.ninjas. That will be a array. I mean, not an array, but an array list, right? That we can then iterate over. And so if we want to display all of Burbank's ninjas, it's just dojo.ninjas for each, right? The var would be ninja, the items would be dojo.ninjas, and then we can print out all of our ninjas. Okay. So just like we would just basically add all of our properties, whatever a ninja has, right? We set it up like we normally do. I'm sorry, whatever a dojo has. We set it up like we normally do. Entity, table name, ID, generated value, right? Everything's the same. Create at and updated at. But then we use the one-to-many annotation to say that a dojo is mapped by dojo and that its property is a list of ninjas. Okay, then we just add the other attributes. Okay, questions about that, about dojos? All right, so a ninja belongs to a dojo. So the the annotations are slightly different. So for a dojo, it was one to many. The corresponding annotation for the many is many to one. So there are many ninjas to one dojo. We set the fetch to the same as the dojo, fetch type lazy. Join column is dojo underscore ID. Okay, what does that tell you? What is dojo underscore ID? What was that in Python? Linking to one dojo. It had a special name though. It was a special type of key. Anybody remember? I forgot the name. Foreign key, right? So the primary key is the at ID, right? Let's see if I have it in here. Yeah, so every table has a primary key. The way we show relationship or ownership is the many will have a foreign key, right? So if a ninja belongs to a dojo, the way we know which dojo that ninja belongs to is the foreign key will be the dojo's primary key, right? Is this making sense? Ringing a bell? It's all flooding back, right? All those memories.
Can you repeat it again? I'm sorry.
No worries. So every table has a primary key, right? That's just the way SQL works. You can't have a table without a key, right? That's how we differentiate between all the different items. If a item belongs to another item, right? So if a ninja belongs to a dojo, the way we establish that relationship is the foreign key on the ninja will be the primary key of the dojo it belongs to, right? So if we have a dojo Burbank that has a primary key or an ID of 1, and Jay is a member or belongs to Burbank, then Jay will have a property of dojo ID, and that will be set to 1. And that shows that Jay is a ninja belonging to Burbank. Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Do we set up the foreign key in MySQL, or the Spring will take care of it?
All done for you.
Oh, good.
All automatic. So as long as you set this up like this, it's piece of cake. It does it for you.
Good. Why we couldn't do this in Python? Python doesn't have the option?
That is such a good question. I'm glad you asked. So in Flask, there is an ORM. It's called SQL Alchemy. We don't teach you SQL Alchemy because if we did, you would never see any sort of SQL syntax throughout the whole bootcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if all you ever use are ORMs, then you're never going to learn SQL, right? And you may say to yourself, "So what?" Right? I don't want to learn SQL. I don't need to learn SQL. It's older than you are. You have gray hair, right? Let me tell you a story. One of my students from Burbank was asked on a interview to write a SQL statement for a many-to-many relationship. So not knowing SQL is horrible, right? You need to know SQL. You need to understand it, okay? So that's why we made made this such a torturous process in Python, just so you can learn the SQL and you can see how everything fits together, right? So you remember back in, if I can go back in Python, this was a nightmare, right? Remember we had to set ninjas equals to an empty list, and then we had to go through and iterate through the join table and then pull out all the data, make a dictionary, put that into the list and append it to the ninjas list. Here, piece of cake, right? It's easy. It's a Java list with Ninja objects, and it's done automatically. Okay.
So there's no append right or append left.
That would be for, no, you don't need to worry about it. Yeah, it's done, right? It's just basically if it's a one-to-many relationship, then your object, your Dojo object, will automatically have a list of ninjas. So yeah, there's no join left, there's no left join, no right join. Yeah, it's taken care of for you. That's why I say this belt is probably the easiest, because using an ORM is like a piece of cake. All right. I think that's it. So I put this here just so you can see the difference between the two statements, right? So if it's one-to-many, we need to include the mapped by. And that has to do with when we're accessing the ninjas, right? So dojo.ninjas will be a dojo instance that has many ninjas. So as long as we set it up like this, remember to include, so the difference is one-to-many, many-to-one. So notice that difference. So the one-to-many is the dojo. If the dojo has many, we do one-to-many on the one, many-to-one on the many, and then we need to include the join column for the many. Okay.
Is that the same for many-to-many, in case that we go encounter that?
Many-to-many is a little different. There's a little bit more involved, but it's pretty much, so you can do many-to-many two different ways in Java. You can have two one-to-manys that point to an object, right? That point to a join table, or you can do the many-to-many. You can set it up either way, and the platform goes into it. If you need help, we can go through it. But I don't want to do it here.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Login and registration will be tomorrow. Let's do Dojos and Ninjas.